Okay.
All right. Well, John, you told me I have to do video. And so it is your calling then to be my first big interview for the YouTube channel. I
Wow.
bless you with that honor and title,
I feel honored. Thank you.
and I hope to make you proud. We are going to be talking about your brand, Barefoot Carnivore, how we together as a team collaborated to get you launched. We're going to talk about the carnivore diet and your beautification process.
Well, it's a big, long process, so that'll cover a lot of the time. Um, where do you want to start?
Well, let's talk about your book that is launching this week, uh, the EPUB, the digital download, the Kindle version is in my inbox. It's ready to go. People can buy it now. And then the paperback is on the 7th. I think it's going to go live so people can buy the paperback. So you this is your first book. Can we talk about what got you to the point where, you're 73 years old now, and what made you want to write a book about the carnivore diet?
Alana. Well, you and Stephanie and Via were the three ladies that just because you all have written stuff and written books and websites and letters and posts, all kinds of stuff, written stuff. So that was my first thought, like I should write a book. But I've been researching YouTube and for years, and I've been taken away from all of these people that done their research and their writing and everything. And I haven't really given anything back, and I feel like this is really giving something back. And plus, I'll do lots of research, and then it just goes who knows where into the cyberspace, and I'll put save stuff, and it's just doesn't get out to people for one thing, and I it's so random in its storage that it nobody will probably ever see it. So that it just all came together that this is really, and it's been becoming more important to me as time goes on. Um, Especially now that I've got at least the KDP published, but it is the second, I just published the second version, which it needs about 4 or 5 more versions. And I'm dedicating my time and space into it now, and thanks to your help with pages and the other things that you've helped me,
The tools.
mechanically get it through, and um, get the pictures with captions, get the fonts right, and on and on about how the borders and margins and everything. It's such an intricate detail that you've helped me with. That's been really wonderful. But too, and things have changed where, I mean, I did this introduction when I very first started the book, and there's so many things I want to really take out of it and put into it that it's evolved, and that introduction. Plus, I want to put in referrals, or I want to put in people like you that says that I'm for real or whatever.
Right,
Um,
testimonials,
Testimonials,
social
and
proof.
like Chafee and
Dr. Anthony
Sean
Chafee.
Sean Baker, Anthony Chafee. Oh, and I met this. I discovered this new girl is my or the or carnivore nurse, but it's not carnivore nurse. It's the carnivore nurse or something. And she is truly incredible. She just put stuff on something on YouTube. That's where I saw her. But her real social media is Instagram. Her Instagram is deep. Oh,
So
she's
this book sounds like it's going to be the thing that connects you with your tribe.
thank you. Yeah, get back on track on the book, but yeah, yeah, that's a well said thing because um, it's it's going to put a lot of things out there. The main purpose is that I tell my healing story and get it out there to the everybody that wants to hear it, that it's it's the it's the proper diet for us as humans.
Yeah, the subtitle. So we worked really hard in crafting the title and the subtitle. And so we used some special tools to get the title where it was really confident. And the subtitle is Healing Through History's Forgotten Feast. So your healing journey is really incredible. Can we talk about your history of veganism and how you went from one extreme to the other in terms of diet and what your transformation has
Thanks for
been?
the direction, Alana, and I'll try to keep it short. But it's a long, heart, painful, and heartfelt good journey. But yeah, you know, in the '60s, when I was 19 years old, um, the hippie movement was going on, and I got influenced to say, I'm going to stop eating meat. I'm going to be a vegetarian, which lasted for a while, but in the military it was really tough, and I just like abandoned the vegetarian for a while. Then I went back to it, and when I got really sick well, years ago, I kind of went back to a little bit of vegetarian, but I think subconsciously knew that meat was good for me. So when I got super sick in 2000 and about six, I said, I was living in Salt Lake City in the environment, the second worst air in the nation at the time. And I decided that my kids are grown. Now I'm going to leave. So I went to Hawaii, lived there for 10 years. And Hawaii is probably, if you're going to go vegan, which I did, and the best place to go raw food vegan, which is extremely intense. I did that for over a couple of years. Um, and I just wasn't getting better. I mean, I was getting worse. My teeth were falling out. I
Ugh.
have I have 9 implants.
Oh my goodness, you lost 9 teeth?
Yeah, and yeah,
Oh, poor
but they were
baby.
breaking off so consistently, and by other means, I won't go into it completely. But I was introduced into the carnivore diet because of a family member was at the time having seizures, epileptic seizures. And the mom and I were trying to heal him. He was just a young boy and turning into a man. But anyway, and his story is we all went carnivore. And now it's, 6 years later, he's not having fits. And his story is quite incredible too. But I turned my real weakness and always out of breath. I've got this thing, it's called bronchiectasis, which is where your lungs just produce
It's not
gunk.
a dinosaur.
Like, no, it sounds like one. I haven't heard that before, but yeah, bronchiectasis does sound like a dinosaur. But it's a terminal disease. There's no cure for it that they say. But with carnivore diet, I've certainly been able to manage it much better. And I'd be gone. I'd have died a while ago if I've been doing this 12 years now. Probably the last 5 years, I've been more like between 80 and 90. And I say I'm 99% carnivore now. Um, and I don't think without the disease I wouldn't have the real motivation to be told, because when you quit sugar, um, our food is addictive. All our food is addictive,
So addictive.
and to give it up is just it's harder than cocaine or heroin or meth, or it's harder than all that because it's so available. It's everywhere in your face, and people are always pushing you to it.
Right.
um, I mean, I've been in my community now for years, and pretty much everybody that I know knows that I don't do the regular diet. And when I go to like potlucks or I go wherever, people are already conditioned that, hey, John brought his steak.
Right.
So
Do you feel like you talk about the word community? Do you feel like community is essential for succeeding on the carnivore diet? And is that kind of one of the reasons you got inspired to start your school community? S with a K?
I started,
SKOOL.
well, I started that because I wanted to, yeah, SKOOL, great website, great um, website. Anyway, so I started it to give back to the community, but a lot of it was for my family, which I've been preaching the carnivore diet, and they're pretty much into it because they've seen me survive and heal and thrive. Now they're like, yeah, Dad, help us out with this. So um, that's the main reason I started that, and it takes off. It's amazing. The whole culture of ours is really catching on to it. When I was doing it 12 years ago, you're eating meat. How's your heart? I mean, your arteries are going to harden. You're going to die from scurvy. Um, so there was a lot of stuff where people were very concerned, but now it's not so much, it's just blowing up on the social media. It's really taken off. So I feel fortunate that I have this niche that I can help other people, and they're not all going to run scared. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, we worked hard to design your school community. I'll put a screenshot of it at the when I edit this video, and I'll put a link down to it below. It's called Barefoot Carnivore. And then we also got your website, barefootcarnivore.com. So you've got like your story there and everything. Um, and your grandkids are on it. So what's it been like connecting with carnivores across the world on social media? Is there like a common thread, like a common story of how so many of you arrive at this place?
Common is, well, I want to say sickness first, but I think maybe weight loss is first. But so many people have healed. Type 2 diabetes, I mean, all kinds of things have healed from carnivore diet. And there's so many just true heart-wrenching stories of people, surviving death. And I mean, I'm one of them, but that's the common thread. But there, I don't know, because I don't do as much weight loss, but it's in there. But some people, it's all they do, and it's just like huge. I can't believe some of the websites of these ladies that have lost weight, and they have followings that are thousands and thousands of people, because it works. So that's the common thread, I feel,
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. I got the chance to interview Dr. Sean Baker, and you were there, and I just asked him, like, does it heal this chronic illness? Does it heal this chronic illness? Does it heal this chronic illness? And he was like, yep. And then he cited the studies, and yep. And he cited the studies.
Yeah.
And it feels like, obviously, we've been lied to about nutrition science. And I was on the keto diet, like wanting to be carnivore, but not, not being strict about it for my husband's sake. But I don't have any chronic health. I have brain fog, but that's it. But I wanted to do branding work for you because I just felt like we were up against so many lies, and we need good storytellers out there, like fighting the misinformation about nutrition. And your transformation story of your health conditions is remarkable. And I know a lot of people in their 60s and 70s, and you have the most energy out of any of them I know. You really do.
Well, thank you. I've come a long way, and I just confessed to my son earlier this morning that I've been running for like 2 or 3 weeks now, and I hadn't done that, especially on the vegan diet, because that just drew me further away and further into it. I've been through. I couldn't sit up in bed without getting out of breath. So it feels so good, and I still am amazed because I've been living here in this place for about 4 years now, and even since I've been here, because I kind of slipped off the wagon and got my lungs just full of stuff. But I'm still amazed that I have energy to do things where I have a small hill that I walk up between my house and my garage. I'd be out of breath before I got there. I mean, it's only 10 seconds away. But that and a lot of other things, I just have more energy. It feels so good. Thank you for the comment. So before I forget, I want to talk more about what you've done for me with my website and stuff, because you're touching on some of it, but the things that you did with the social media besides YouTube and Instagram and X, Twitter X, and some TikTok, and all my social media, you've helped immensely in doing the thumbnails, doing the videos, doing the just, well, for one thing, even labeling those and connecting them all, that they all have the same Barefoot Carnivore connection. So, and when I post on one, I'll admit though, because I've been so into my book, I haven't posted on the social media in probably 2-3 months.
That'll come.
But that'll come out now. I'm getting published, and that so
Yep.
yeah, my goal here in the next month is to really push those. YouTube especially, kind of, that's my main, but Instagram. And you do Twitter X. I still get your messages from Twitter X and everything daily, because they come.
I live on
So
there.
you live on that, yeah, and you do quite well on it. And I'm inspired by what you do. And then before I forget, the school page, and then all that you did for the book, besides the cover. I mean, and the cover was big, but
The
you know,
formatting.
yeah,
Thank you. I'm
yeah.
more than just a pretty face. I know how the math of the interior of the book stuff works, guys.
Beside that, you researched the name Barefoot Carnivore, um, and what's my subheading? Barefoot Carnivore,
Healing through history's forgotten feasts.
healing through history's forgotten feast.
Yeah.
I seldom say that. I just say Barefoot Carnivore
In
or
the Carnivore
Carnivore
Chronicles.
Chronicles. But that I remember you researched what's the best name, and we had several different subtitles, and you found out that that's the number one for
Converting. Yeah,
converting.
exactly.
And
We went through
there's a couple,
hundreds of subtitles. There was
yeah,
literally over 100.
and that's so important, Alana. I can't thank you enough for that research and the things that you did that um, I don't know anybody else that could do that
Well,
or will or knows about how to do it.
thank you for saying that. I I can be useful to the holistic health space, and I went to art school, and I never leaned into my gifts until really now. I was busy doing other things and kind of letting other people lead how I spent my energy. But I had like an about face and realized like, what do I want to, like, who do I want to serve, and how can I best help given everything? And I think that's what everybody needs to do is like, you have to do an inventory, an assessment of all the skills you have, all of the pain you went through that now you're experienced, so you can help people get through that pain faster. And I have launch campaigns and launch campaigns and launch campaigns. And I know how to get people from like no offers, no packaging, no pricing system, no calendar system to like business system built and ready to go um, fast now. I would think, but I think with your book, of course, you got to take the time to write the book. But with the KDP, like you get to you get some flexibility in that, like if you want to change a page or something profound happens to you and you're just like, that has to be in the book, you don't have to wait for a gatekeeper's permission anymore with the publisher and like reset the machines it's not this begrudging monster of a process. You've got the flexibility with that tool now, and you get to keep all of the profits. And we're gonna, with we have a system built so that you can build your email list and all that, and there's there's joy in having independence and flexibility.
Yeah, yeah. I'm feeling blessed, and as you're saying that, I'm thinking through things about. And I started the interview here with saying that I think I need to go through version 4, 5, 6, 7. And for some reason, version 8 might be the icing on the cake. But there's things that I just now that I'm in the working mode again because I stopped for a while in writing because I was being censored and I didn't have the right tool to and Pages. Oh, what a savior!
Yeah.
Because I was using Book Magic AI, which worked really well up to a point. Um, but I know that it's going to evolve some more. And there's so many things that I had a lot of research into it, years of research that I just poured out there right away. And now I've got stuff that I need to tweak in it, and I'll be doing that. But yeah, but not, it seems like the pressure's off because it's already in publishing. But I do I'll be dedicating time to it on a regular basis and get those versions 3, 4, and 5 and out as soon as I can
Well,
because
now
those will be golden.
the book already is golden, and
Thank you. Well,
I'm reading it, and it's good to go, honey.
are you reading version 2 in the
I'm re
KDP?
the latest one that we're doing. Yes, yes,
But
I
I
am.
did one just after you. That's
Oh,
version 2. Yeah.
maybe I didn't.
No, you probably are reading version 2 because it was just like right after you did one.
Well, I'll check. I'll check.
Anyway, well, yeah, thanks for reading it. I feel privileged and thank you.
Well, of course I'm reading it. I'm so glad that you've got something that you can be proud of that's published now, though, because I feel like the next chapter is sharing and connecting. Like we've got
Yeah.
our podcast on Thursday where I'm interviewing you once again, but it's on the panel for the speaker salon. So we've got Dr. Tro and we've got the Stepping It Up, the mom and daughter duo, and we're going to be talking about sugar addiction. And and I know that you really admire Dr. Anthony Chafee and Dr. Sean Baker, and I feel like that's the next step, is developing friendships with all those people and being on those kinds of stages. So where where have you had the most resonance in the carnivore community for people who are the real deal, beyond Sean Baker and Anthony Chafee? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Beyond those two, those are top two probably. Lisa Wierman, I think her name is. She's the carnivore doctor. She's an optometrist, and she is 99% carnivore. I feel like I I only know one person personally that's up to my 99%, and I lost contact with him. I met him in Hawaii. His name, it goes by Chitta, and he's the one that got me off salt. He talked about it and he explained it, and I go, I think this is the way I want to go. And then a couple of years later, I'm avoiding salt at all costs.
wow.
And but the other lady I just mentioned to you before that we started recording, I think was the carnivore nurse, and I think it's the carnivore nurse or my carnivore nurse. But anyway, she's pretty impressive. And then think his name is Carnivore Kyle or Carnivore Kirk or Carnivore something. He's the one that I talked to you before about that got his colon removed
Wow.
as a young man. His story is incredible, and he's very intense about putting the word out. And I saw him interviewed by Chafee, and Chafee interviews. He interviewed this carnivore nurse lady, who's a young woman, and she's very on top of it, just incredible. And her story is like, most of those with healing, because she's worked in the hospital industry and saw people not get healed, and she wanted to heal them. But anyway, she's got a great story, and she's quite inspiring. So those other four, Lisa, the carnivore doctor, Carnivore Kent, I think it is, and then I mean, there's others. Ken Berry, I think, is
Yeah,
on
Ken
the
Berry's
right
great.
track. And then there's some others that are I can't think of that are all on YouTube that I have subscribed to, and I try not to do too many subscriptions because I want to stay connected to this community and carnivore. But yeah, those are just some.
I feel like the branding for corporate food, like Kellogg's and PepsiCo and all the kind of foods that make you sick, like they put so much money and time and effort and thought, truly like so much cognitive effort into branding all these foods that are really bad for you. And it was meaningful to me to put cognitive thought into your Barefoot Carnivore brand to try to romanticize and create some excitement around the carnivore diet and meat. Yeah.
Well, I had to stop you when you're on a roll, but you know what, Alana, that's so true because we're in competition with these companies that use color, I mean, smell and shapes and everything. And I'm just thinking back to when we first started, and you did this color scheme that all blended, and it made so much sense when we were doing it. This was months ago now, but it's true that we need to compete with them and really romanticize and attract people just like they attract people with symbols and everything. But color is so important, and you keeping it uniform throughout all the social media and from continuing throughout the book and forms. It's just so important. Even the fonts and everything and how that works.
Yeah, once you see your brand identity guidelines and your like visual identity bumpers, it starts to make sense, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Oh yeah.
this is
Well,
this
it's
is gonna work.
because I had some colors and whatnot, and you changed it all, and I'm going, my gosh, I look at the old stuff I had and the new stuff. I go, this is so much more inviting, so much more flowing, so much more the continued motif or however you want to say it. But yeah, it's very important.
The it's a it's hard to compete with their money, but what we can do is we can compete with the truth and our stories, like the transformation stories, that actually does have some ability to kind of knock them off of their pedestal a little bit. And the logo that we chose for Barefoot Carnivore, I want to spend a moment talking about that because it wasn't just some like shipshod, like, oh, we need a logo, here's that. Like, the we have kind of this warrior man and his white, almost like a wolf-like dog, like a white German Shepherd, half wolf kind of dog. And what people, I was 38 years old when I learned that the dog's stomach is almost identical to the human stomach. And man's best friend, like we would go hunt, we're supposed to be eating the same thing.
That
So
gastroenterologist is in my book. I did a page on him, and I can't think of his title, or his name, but yeah, his book is incredible because he compares a ruminant animal, I think it's a sheep, and a dog and a human, and he goes through the length of the intestines and how it's measured and how it should be measured and how it's sometimes not, and it's confusing. Are you measuring from the neck to the tailbone, or are you measuring from the head to the feet? And you're comparing, a dog which has shorter legs, or a sheep with shorter legs, with the human. And I mean, he just goes through all the detail of how we're supposed to be eating like dogs eat, and then they eat meat.
yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, it's there's truth out there, Alana.
There's truth. And so another thing that I learned, like our teeth are designed to rip flesh, and the predator's eyes face forward,
Yeah,
and the prey's eyes are on the side, like a bird's eyes are on the side, but predators always have like front facing eyes, which it's what we have. That's us.
yeah.
And they
There's so many details, and that's some of them for sure. Yeah, that's a good important point. Yeah. We're meant to it. I mean, most of my book is about the ancestors and how they lived, and all the tribes, the Indian tribes of North America, especially the Eskimo, because they didn't have a choice. I mean, their options are meat or nothing because there's no place to grow. I mean, they didn't have a garden growing outside the igloo. And the,
exactly.
and the Indians lived in teepees. They moved them with the herds, and the mongrels in Mongolia had their yurts made of felt. They moved them with the herds. I can go on and on. The Australians, Africans, but
That's
we were,
actually one of the, let me just say the one of the takeaways of your book is that it's like you're reminding us of who we are. You're reminding us of our heritage as human beings that they've confused us about. And
yeah,
I remember traveling to Scandinavia when I was younger and being so confused by how healthy Scandinavian people looked, but like they only have a growing season this big. And I was like, why do they look so healthy when like they can't grow a fruit if their life depended on it? Because it's cold all the time. I went to Iceland, I went to Sweden, went to Norway, and it was like mind blowing. And then I remember going to Germany and being at this restaurant, and like everybody was just eating sausage and mustard. The whole dang restaurant, like sausage and mustard. And they looked so healthy. And I was like, how do these people look so healthy when all they're eating is meat? Like, where's the salads?
yeah,
I'm so confused. Now I
yeah,
know.
yeah. So and our misconception, or I've always led to believe that the Indians were died at 45 years old and they were all small. In my book, and I haven't put the caption on it yet, but there's one guy in there, a chief that was 7 foot tall, and there's in reading that author's books, he said he found many, and this was in the mid 1800s. He found many 7 footers, and most of the Indians were over 6 feet or 6 feet or over.
Wow.
And and they could run for miles, and they could hear stuff that better than us. They could put their ear to the ground and tell who's coming from miles away. I mean, they were superhuman, and especially the Eskimos. I mean, the Eskimo language is over 10,000. Yeah, 10,000 words in their vocabulary, and even ours is something like right around three or less, 3,000 less. And
Ooh.
supposedly the Latin and Greek were up close to 5,000. But the Eskimos were highly intelligent, very intelligent. Most of the whaler boats that went up there, the Eskimos would become the first mate right away, and then they'd become the captains, and then they were owning their own whaling boats and running the whole cruise and everything. That they were they are very intelligent. Well, of course, they've been civilized, so things are changing, but their their culture is just incredible to research.
Wow. Well, I I guess, we're running up on 40 minutes. What else do we
Oh,
need to talk about? Uh, I, I, I feel I feel like the call to action for people who are experiencing any kind of chronic illness Do you have like a starter course for carnivore, or do you
I'm
have?
I I've got some of it in my book, and that's the thing about Anthony Chafee, and I think why he gets so popular is because he gets way into that. In fact, he's his part of his website is How to Carnivore, which I wanted to steal that phrase, but he gets a lot of people because it's a challenge for people even to think about. But yeah, there's several tips, and I have them in my book. But main thing is to if you're going to do that, go to your cabinets, go to your refrigerator, your cupboards, your pantries, get everything out that is not carnivore, or at least get rid of as much of the carbs as you can and the sugar. And that's the, I think, first step because if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. But it's such a challenge, Alana, to get away from the addictive food that, yeah. And the thing about I get these questions all the time. Well, how do I cook it? I don't know how to cook it. And my first reaction is, don't cook it. Because it's pretty easy. You want red meat is the best. I don't like to do chicken because it doesn't have enough fat in it, or but the cooking is easy. Just try to not cook it as much as you know, and just. But I still do it because I was raised with warm food, and I can't get rid of that. But if it's rare, I really feel more nourished and try to eat the fat first.
That's the part that people really struggle with is the lying about fat has been so severe that we truly are brainwashed into thinking eating fat is going to make us fat. So you address that in the book, and you also address cholesterol. So just can you give us the quick kind of responses to, because I mean people are
Fat
afraid they're going to have a heart attack if they eat too much fat and cholesterol.
fat has been so demonized, and I can get into who did it and when and how it's all evolved, but it's been demonized for centuries. I've got some Jack Sprat can eat no fat, his wife can eat no lean from the early or the mid 1800s. And I don't know if a lot of people don't know now, but when I was growing up, that was something that I was ingrained with because his wife is large and he's a thin man, and but yeah, it's been demonized incredibly. I think back when I was a kid, I cut the fat off the steak and smoothed it to the side and didn't eat it. And now I purposely have to, I not necessarily force myself because when I eat it with meat or whatever, it's really flavorful. It's really good. And the marbly meat is what most people are drawn to, and it's because it's fat in there. And it truly does. Eating fat will make you skinny.
I know, yeah, it's nuts.
It's
We did a high fat diet. We were doing 60% fat, 30% protein, 35%, no, yeah, 35% protein and 5% or less of carbs. And I lost 15, 20 pounds doing high fat. They lie.
it's the absolute truth.
Um, so I am going to link down below to barefootcarnivore.com, to your school community, to the book. But what's the greater vision for Barefoot Carnivore, the brand? What does
Um,
John's future look like?
oh gosh, it's to be interviewed with Anthony Chafee is probably the biggest, and then Sean Baker I'd probably like more because he of some of the stuff he does, but also the the carnivore doctor. I've already a little bit communicated to her with email, but once I get the book, Alana, it's like I can say, hey, you got to read this book and send it out to him for free or whatever, but just get that out there. And once that gets out there, it seems like you get credibility and you can get interviews with people, and that will just draw more people in. And I'm here to spread the carnivore gospel,
Yeah.
and the way to do it is to get other support and community.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the community part, and I'm really plugging your school group right now because I have experienced insane ridicule and humiliation for attempting the carnivore diet. Family members, well, I'll just say it, my freaking mother-in-law who thought I was trying to kill her son by putting him on this diet. And it's like it's hard to deal with the
Yeah.
social pushback from people who have not put the time in to research it. They they create such a block and they interfere with your health goals, but at the same time they're not willing to put the effort in to do the research to find out for themselves if you're telling the truth or not. They're not willing to examine the evidence. And so I just knowing you has been good for my sanity. And for anyone who's like on the fence about this, or they're struggling with uncooperative family members, you really do need the social support and you need encouragement, because sometimes it can be just too much going to all these events with sugar and having people be like, "Oh, you have an eating disorder." I've actually had that said to me. We don't believe in your eating disorder, and I'm like,
Well, I have to laugh because it's the truth, though. I get many of this. I haven't had the eating disorder thing yet, but I'm sure they're whispering it behind my back. But yeah, but okay, and everything you said is true. It is so hard, especially with people. I mean, I go, they, like I said, they, how's your arteries, and you're gonna die. But before I forget, I haven't brought up the one thing that we haven't mentioned is pemmican.
yes,
So if I can just talk about that for just a minute.
yes, that's
Um,
like your calling card. I've never heard anybody talk about pemmican before.
it's like incredibly the best food that we can make. That's by far. So the Indians and the Eskimos and all across the earth, these ancient people would, well, I don't I hate to use the word ancient because they weren't that long ago, 200 years ago,
Ancestral.
150 to 200 years. Anyway, these people, um, they 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 had to have a food that would get them through the lean times when the herds weren't running or it was frozen land or whatever. And the food that they made will last without refrigeration and without freezing it for 20, 30, 40, 50 years and still be good to eat. And it's about half powdered, dried completely, and they would hang out their meat. And I've got this in my book, just to dry naturally from the air, and it will dry by itself without putting it in a dehydrator. And then they would pound it up. I use a grinder, but then they would render the fat from the animal. Just melt it down. Try not to heat it up too much. I don't go over 200 degrees, and just let it melt. And then you mix the meat with it, and it pretty much mixes naturally at 50-50, and it will stay forever. I've got some right on my table over there. I carry it in my backpack. It's got it in my car, but it's just it will get you through, and it's so nutrient dense that it you can eat just a fraction of it, and will carry you as far as your energy level and your survival for a lot longer. It's the most nutrient dense food that we can do, and plus it's lasts forever. I mean, lasts for yeah.
That's
Anyway,
awesome.
that's my spiel for pemmican.
I love that you know about all this. I had never heard about it before. And in kind of the more conservative circles, you've got these survival food companies,
So,
and
so
it's
I go
all
to these I go
carbs.
to these trade shows that are survivalist and um what do they call them? Preparedness. And I go around and these big ones, they're like in Sandpoint and big, there's 300 people in this big auditorium going around to these booths and whatnot. So I go to each individual booth. I go ask them about pemmican. What's that?
They don't know.
I go, you got survivalists and you've got canned stuff here that's supposed to freeze dried and this and that that's going to last for a while, but it's carbs and it's not that much nutrition and it will spoil. Um, anyway, Alana, sorry you get me going.
I know, we could talk forever. If Martha Stewart can be on the cover of Sports Illustrated at her age, I think you could start a pemmican empire in your 70s. I
Yeah,
totally believe you.
yeah.
Believe in you. And it's like you get these trendy foods. Like I remember chia seeds. There was like all my mom friends were like, "Oh, you got to try chia seeds." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And I spent all this money on chia seeds. And I feel like pemmican can be just it can have a wave of just like everyone's excited about it because it's so novel. I still have to try it. You got to send me some at some point.
So in my book too, I go over the Pemmican Wars because the powers that shouldn't be that are up there, they don't want that spread out because you're not going to buy their addictive food if you go and make pemmican because it's yeah it it's over nutritious, I guess you might call it. It's more nutritious. You don't need to eat as much. And there's so many things that they literally back in the 1800s, in the mid 1800s, I go through it in my book about how there were Pemmican Wars, and they stopped the Hudson Bay Company in Canada from making and selling pemmican. And Pemmican was this town in North Dakota, and it's not anymore. But yeah, I know all this history we don't know about because the powers that shouldn't be stopped it.
Yeah, they control they control you through food because they actually don't want you to be strong and healthy because you're easier to control when you're weak and sick.
Yeah,
John, I adore you. I feel like is that a good place to kind of leave people and explore?
I think so.
If they want to learn more, they can read the book.
Yeah,
All right. I thank you for being my first big interview on my YouTube channel, and I just bless I just I bless all of your efforts, and uh, I believe in you. Thank you for being a part of my new
thank
business.
you, Alana. Thank you for doing this, and we'll look forward to the next one.
Awesome. Bye, guys.